Well, I mean, the last month, frankly, has been changing on a day-to-day basis. And in these are challenging times, we have two immediate pressing issues. First of all was the rapidly rising energy costs triggered by Russia's aggression in Ukraine. We simply could not have just stood by and done nothing. The package that we've brought out to support households and businesses equates to around about £150 billion worth of unplanned, uncosted public spending. Secondly, as the global economic position has deteriorated again, the government set out a series of tax cuts for businesses and all households to try and stimulate growth. But the market pressures continue with high inflation, mostly down to the cost of energy, and the rising dollar. We have been fighting, along with every other European country, a daily battle to stabilise the markets, and therefore the government.
I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in there, Justin, because we can look over the past several months and say, yes, you can see how the war in Ukraine has affected energy prices. Yes, you can see how the dollar has affected things. But the past couple of weeks, the chaos caused there has been explicitly a result of the previous Chancellor and the Prime Minister, haven't they? And their decisions to announce tax cuts that were not funded, and the markets getting worried about whether Britain was a reliable, trustworthy country with its finances anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't accept it's that simple. If only it was that simple. The point is, we cannot stand by and do nothing on energy support. So everybody agrees you've got to spend that £150 billion worth of unplanned, uncosted money.
Which is now less than they were going to do.
And we must do everything we possibly can to avoid a recession, because that's people's livelihoods. But it's a balancing act. And therefore, some of those measures that we had brought forward to stimulate the economy are going to have to be paused. That's regrettable. The Prime Minister has made a decisive decision to change the Chancellor. I think it was a good choice. I think Jeremy Hunt probably typifies calmness, and that is what the country is looking for. Look,
you say Jeremy Hunt, personifies the calmness that we need at this point in time, but what he's doing is the precise opposite of what Liz Truss said she was going to do when she became Prime Minister, which was cut taxes across the board. Almost every aspect of her entire agenda is in the bin, isn't it? Why should people trust what this government now says it's going to do?
Well, first of all, I only have to look at the national opinion polls to know that this has been a difficult time for our government. But on every big call, whether it was during COVID, the rapidly rising energy costs, we have stood shoulder to shoulder with the public to make sure there is appropriate support, to make sure we can support people. We are making those decisions, responding to the changing circumstances. Only last week, we saw the highest rate of employment since 1974 and the strongest growth figures of any of the major economies. There are many challenges still to navigate, but as a government, we will not flinch from those.
Do you think Liz Truss remains the best Prime Minister?
Well, she was chosen, and I believe at this stage, we've got to provide stability and calm.
So she should stay for now? Is that a way of paraphrasing what you just said?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a supporter of the Prime Minister during the contest. I was a supporter of the former Prime Minister and then Kemi Badenoch. But we have chosen a Prime Minister. In my opinion, I don't think you can just keep chopping and changing. That doesn't diminish it's been poor, but on the big decisions, we are acting, and I think she deserves time to see whether that can then work its way through.